In the late 19th century, if you threw something out in New York City, nothing happened to it. It remained on the street amongst all the other waste generated by the citizens of the city, and there was nobody to clean it up. This lack of infrastructure for keeping the city clean was largely due to corruption in the city government. The individuals who were in charge of street cleaning in the 1890s were under the control of people like Boss Tweed and Tammany Hall, a corrupt political group that controlled the New York City Democratic Party. This sanitation situation did not change until a massive police corruption scandal occurred in the early 1890s. The Tammany Hall political party could not cover up the corruption, and they were pushed out of office in the mayoral elections of 1894. William Strong was elected as the city's new mayor, and he made it one of his primary goals to hire trustworthy individuals as his commissioners. In January 1895, Strong appointed Colonel George E. Waring, Jr., a Civil War officer, a veteran, and a self-proclaimed sanitary engineer, as the commissioner of street cleaning. Waring immediately got to work, giving the department a hierarchical military-type structure, which made specific individuals responsible for very clearly defined tasks. Waring implemented three major steps that helped to improve the sanitary conditions of the city streets. The first of these steps was the elimination of burdens on the streets, such as unharnessed trucks and wagons that were left throughout the streets. The second was a reorganization of the department's workforce, and the third was changing how the streets were cleaned. To begin his sanitation reform, Waring targeted the filthiest streets in the whole city, which were located in the poorest neighborhoods. He spread out across the rest of the city from there and implemented some very creative cleaning tactics, such as the juvenile leagues. Through this program, children in public schools were taught to keep a lookout on the streets for people disobeying sanitation laws. Many of these children's parents did not speak English, so the educated children were able to communicate to an older generation that they should not throw their garbage out on the streets. Along with transforming the sanitary conditions of New York City's streets, Waring also considerably changed the public's opinion of the department's workforce. He required his workers to wear all white uniforms in order to associate them with hygiene. Waring also required his employees to wear white helmets that resembled those of policemen to signify that they were of authority. Over time, New York City citizens began to call these workers the White Wings due to their unmistakable uniforms. On May 26, 1896, Waring hosted the first ever employee parade in which his White Wings marched with pride. Waring led the parade dressed in a full uniform and riding a horse. In addition to gaining the public's respect for his department, Waring changed how the streets of New York City were cleaned. Before he was appointed, the streets were cleaned using horse-drawn machines, which were highly expensive to operate and stirred up large amounts of dust throughout the city. In the summer of 1895, Waring suspended the use of these horse-drawn cleaning machines and implemented a hand-sweeping force. In order to avoid stirring up dust, Waring required the White Wings to sprinkle the streets with water before cleaning. White Wings who skipped this step were fined. Additionally, Waring made the White Wings bag the dirt they swept up from the streets immediately after it was swept, instead of leaving it in piles on the road, which was practiced in the past. The sweeping schedule put into place by Waring was extremely strict and efficient. The Department of Street Cleaning cleaned streets with light traffic, which comprised 15% of the city streets, once a day. Moderately traveled streets, which made up 65% of the city's streets, were cleaned twice a day. And the busiest streets in the city, the remaining 20%, were swept 3 or 4 times every 24 hours. Waring also changed the way waste was collected in New York City. He was able to finally provide the city with a waste management system that coordinated the collection and disposal of waste. He created a system of source separation in which individuals put different kinds of waste, like garbage and ashes, into different collection containers. While he was only in office for 3 years, Waring was able to dramatically transform the way sanitation was handled in New York City, as well as the conditions. Before Waring took over as Commissioner of Street Cleaning, Tammany Hall continually made excuses to avoid the issues regarding cleaning and waste management in New York City. Over and over again, he claimed that the city was just too crowded with too many diverse kinds of people. However, Waring was able to overcome these obstacles and produce a much cleaner city.